It's Kevin Keatsman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Well, there's a first for me. I barely made the start of the broadcast here today. Not that I was late to work or stuck in traffic or anything like that. Very little traffic these days. It would have been good to have the cameras on and the microphones open for between the end of Monday in the morning and the beginning of Uncanceled, because Pete and I just did a show here in the studio together, the two of us. We just did a show. That would have been a good one. Would have been a great, 5-6 minute podcast we had in here talking about different issues, fun stuff. That is the kind of place this is. And while there's a bunch of radio stations in this building, and I've never really worked in an environment like this, the KCMO Talk Radio folks that are right here and some of the sales staff that we work with and promotions people and things like that, it's tight-knit. And we're not afraid to talk about things that are important. Sometimes we talk about work or families or whatever. But today, crossing over from one show to the next, Pete and I just did a podcast together. Maybe we should have a podcast. Maybe Kevin and Pete ought to do a podcast together. See if we could do something like that and post it up for everyone to see and give it a listen. Great to have you with us today. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. I'm Kevin Keatsman, your humble host. The pod boy in the radio seat is pretty much how this works each and every day. We got a fine show lined up for you today, including all the information you need if you want to become active in your community and protest something and turn it into looters and rioters so all of our good local businesses get broken into. That's what's happening now with L.A. and, of course, California sets the tone. We're going to spread this across the country now. We will explain why Gavin Newsom cannot make this argument anymore about Trump being illegal and bringing in the National Guard. A little bit later, Ron DeSantis, you don't hear his name very often anymore, in Florida, doesn't just have a plan, says he's going to do it. Property tax in Florida is going to go away on your home, not just for 65 and older. He says he called it, what was the term he used? This is budget dust. Like their budget is so big in Florida that if they take that tax out of their budget, he calls it budget dust, that it will be easy for them to get rid of property taxes. And he believes the whole country ought to be able to do this. Now, here we go. Maybe he's starting to position himself to run for president in a couple of years as well. And just when you thought college athletics was dead to you because of all the money, the salary cap, and all the shenanigans and things, Cinderella is dancing in Omaha this week at the College World Series. We have a very clear choice for you. If you don't have your school in the College World Series, we have a very easy pick for you. I'm sure Mark knows who I'm talking about, and we will talk to him about this team. It's amazing coach. It's tiny little stadium, and what the coach does on the side. That's right. A College World Series head coach in baseball has a side gig. This is just going to be awesome. Hey, but you're on notice, folks. It's the silly season. My headline today is we have 4 summers of the Trump presidency where he doesn't care. He's not running again. This is going to be different for all these looters and rioters and everything that they're doing. It's going to be different. He doesn't care. The next president, and I'm sure he would love to have J.D. Vance or one of his Republicans win, I think he looks at it like that's going to be on you to make your case. I've been elected twice. Actually, in Trump's mind, he thinks he was elected 3 times. I've been elected twice, and I'm going to do the job that I was elected to do. And if it hurts your chance in a couple of years, sorry, but we're going to clean this thing up if we can. That's why he won. America voted for a guy that they thought, politics be damned, we want you to do the job. There are 4 summers of the Trump presidency. This is summer number 1. These things only happen in the summer, which is weird because L.A. could do them in the winter. There's a lot of places in America where they could do these things in the winter. They just don't. People get nutty in the summer. Days get longer, the sun's out more. You know how this works. Or as Biden would say, you know the thing. So here we go. This clearly is going to pop up in places all summer long. We've got an event at 7 o'clock tonight on Southwest Boulevard, apparently, where who knows what that's all about. But this is minor league because the big day is Saturday. They're taking all week trying to spread the word with celebrities, politicians, elected officials, businesses, social media, network appearances. They're spreading the word that Saturday's their day. We'll get to that in a moment. But the most important thing here is the scorecard. You know I like to talk about scorecards. We've seen some great videos of people throwing rocks and running and getting tackled by cops and cuffed. I saw a video of a guy today on a building that was sending firework mortars down onto the street. He was up on top of a building and just tossing these things off there, down at where the cops were, and he gets shot in the face with a rubber bullet and just drops him. It was awesome. Let's get those things going around. Let's let the people know that if you do this, you could get shot with a rubber bullet. You could get arrested. You're going to go to jail. There have been 60 arrests already for looters because, if you're mad at ICE for picking up illegal aliens that have committed felonies like rape, sexual assault, drug trafficking, human trafficking, pedophilia, murder, violence against authorities, arson, and you're an illegal alien, if you want to protest those people, what you really want to do is break into the Apple Store. That's the goal here. Let's create enough chaos to where there's so many officers in one place that 6 blocks away, there can't possibly be anybody down here. Look at that 7-Eleven sitting there. Ooh, they got ice cold beer. And it's summertime. I'm going to go get me some. I'm going to wear my rioter mask because that seems to be okay. And I'm going to walk into 7-Eleven and take whatever I want. Probably take some Doritos with me too. I got some weed I want to smoke, get a little munchy. It's going to be good. They looted the Apple Store. They've looted the Nike store. They've looted the Adidas store. Uh-oh, T-Mobile got hit. They lost all their phones, smash and grab right out of the cases. And this one's a little weird until you think about it for a second. They hit Little Tokyo last night. I've never been to Little Tokyo in L.A., but I think I understand it to be a place that's different than the Apple Store, let's say, where, like, you go to a ball game, you go to a Royals game tonight, there's no cash. They won't take any cash. It's you can't get into the ballpark with cash. You can't buy a ticket at the window with cash. You can't get into the parking lot with cash. It's not allowed. They don't take it anywhere anymore. That sounds like the Apple Store, the Nike store, the Adidas store, the T-Mobile store, but not restaurants in Little Tokyo. And so these crazy people, they're so mad at ICE for coming after the illegal aliens that have committed crimes. Let's go to Little Tokyo. There's cash registers in there. And they smash up these restaurants and they walk in and they literally pick up the cash registers and walk out with them. That's what's happening here. Should it be a crime to stoke this? Free speech is not a crime in any way. It is a misnomer that yelling fire in a crowded theater is against the law. It is not unless it causes a crime or a problem. If people panic and get injured, you can be arrested for inciting it. But simply saying the words is not a crime. If everybody sat there peacefully, you can say it and it's not a crime. So we've got now all these different people with nokings.org, which is a communist group, literally communist, in America, and they want to spread communism. They're sweeping right past socialism, going straight for communism. The TV News talked to a man on the street yesterday. He's 50 years old, seemed like a fairly regular guy. He's from Mexico. He's been here several years. Looked like he makes a nice living. He's happy. He's got his family, the whole deal. And they're asking him why he's down there and what's going on. And he says, well, we got to stop this. We got a job to do. And they're like, well, what's the job? And, he doesn't support the criminals, but he supports being here illegally because as he sees it, his job is to change America into a socialist country. The reporter starts asking him, well, what kind of socialism? Name a country. And he goes, well, not like Cuba or Venezuela. Those are failed. And the reporter says, well, name a socialist country that worked. What do you want to model America after? And he said the Soviet Union. And then he paused and said, but only the first 4 years. Because then they got like Cuba and Venezuela too, where the people that were in power took advantage of that power and ran roughshod over everyone else. I'm like, sir, you're making your own argument for not supporting what you support. Of course, that's what happened to the Soviet Union and Cuba and Venezuela. Of course, that's what happened when you let these people get in charge. And they've literally brainwashed you into thinking that Trump is Hitler and he's the dictator. And we have actors like John Cusack out there saying the ICE Nazis are supporting Nazi Trump for this Nazi lawlessness. Mark Ruffalo, who's in the Avengers. This is a peaceful civil disobedience. statement. And then he goes on to post and say, find a protest in your city. And this organization, NoKings.org, which is communist, is organizing a day of defiance on Saturday nationwide. They were calling it, this is how bad they are at this. They were calling it Rise Up. They're calling it Rise Up. But then they referred to it as a national day of defiance. And now Hollywood actors are turning into No Kings Day, which is the website, nokings.org. So I don't know whether Saturday is No Kings Day or Rise Up or Day of Defiance. But don't think this can't get near you. This doesn't sound to me like it's going to be completely contained in urban cores in America, like most of our riots are. This sounds like it could pop up in, I don't know, Prairie Village, where all the crazy ladies over there that have put all the college-educated, pre-med women who are now bored, they're married, their husband works, they sit at home all day, they think about civil disobedience, how to help people, let's get illegal aliens legal, all the things that they're in on. It sounds like that could pop up there to me. I live in Lenexa. We've got a crazy new mayor. First Democrat mayor ever in Lenexa. All hell's breaking loose. They've announced they're building 1,300 new apartments in Lenexa because that ensures more Democrat votes. And my city's changing dramatically. It could pop up there. It could be anywhere. So Saturday's the day. And why Saturday? Well, the timing couldn't be better. These people hate America. We know that. Saturday's Flag Day. Oh, what a perfect day to do it. It's Flag Day. Let's wave our home country's flags and burn the American flag on Flag Day. It's also the 250th anniversary of the United States Army. Well, we're pissed at the Army because looky here, we got the National Guard, we got the Marines. Oh boy, Saturday's perfect because Trump's going to have a parade with all these tanks in Washington, D.C. on the 250th anniversary on Saturday. What will get the news coverage on Saturday? Rise Up, Day of Defiance, No Kings Day, or the United States Army's 250th anniversary celebration? And just for a cherry on top, Saturday is Donald J. Trump's birthday. You can't make this up. We got a 3-named riot planned nationwide on Trump's birthday, the U.S. Army's 250th. Yes, indeed, it's Flag Day. It is the perfect storm. It could be coming near you, so be careful on Saturday. 913-408-7957 if you'd like to comment on what you think is going to happen. I'd love to hear what you think is about to take place here nationwide as they're talking about all of this. 913-408-7957. There's a couple of videos out there circulating of Gavin Newsom. Did you know he deployed the National Guard twice as governor of California? He did it grandstanding politically 8 days after January 6th as they were getting ready to certify the vote in California and transition their government there. 8 days after January 6th, he put 1,000 National Guard troops around the Capitol building in Sacramento when there was no threat of anybody showing up. There was nobody there, and there was nothing planned. He just did it. He also shot a video on the border a couple of years ago talking about Mike Johnson and the Republicans being, complete losers on keeping fentanyl from coming into California and killing Californians. He literally made a trip with the National Guard to the border and shot videos himself with the National Guard at the border to fortify the border and keep the fentanyl out. And now he says the president of the United States mobilizing the National Guard in downtown where people are resisting arrest, burning things, throwing rocks at cops is illegal. You can't make this up. Barack Obama sent 2,000 National Guard troops to the border at one point during his presidency to solidify the border, and he deported 3 million illegal aliens. Barack Obama deported 3 million illegals in his time as president. Here is Mark in Shawnee. Mark, welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. What is up?
Hi, Kevin. I'm fired up. I love Trump's nickname for New Scum, and that's an accurate nickname for that clown. Boy, I'd just like to grab his hair and sling him around. It'd be a lot of fun. I'm an old man, but I think I could do it. I'll tell you, when I think about this, what's going on in California, we have a use of force continuum that the police departments are taught. And I don't understand why they don't escalate to that next level. You shove a police officer, you get dropped. There's a pressure point control tactics where you break your stun, you hit a complex set of nerves in their neck, and you drop people like it's like, what happened? I got slapped, and all of a sudden I'm on the ground. So you can do it without inflicting hurt and pain, but I like hurt and pain. I think busted noses, teeth knocked out, all of a sudden they're not liking that too much. When they're shoving police officers, I'm sorry, that's where it ends. And I think that's the problem with this country is we've allowed this civil unrest to go on, and it needs to be met. The other thing I wanted to throw out here is Mark Levin talks about this convention of states. What I think should happen, and I don't know how that would work, but what would happen is the states get together, and if this is what you believe in, because it's so ingrained in our society, when you think of Mexican flags flying around and people doing civil unrest and you're okay with that, let's put those people in states where they think that's okay. We strip federal funds from them and we let them deteriorate. And how that's governed at what levels, I don't know. That's why we'd have a convention of states. But this dissent in this country needs to be met hard and fast.
Mark, you got to share with our audience what kind of coffee you drink.
I don't drink coffee, Kevin. I'm a green tea drinker, and I drink vegetables all day long.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's awesome, Mark. Thank you for the call. That was fantastic. He sounds like he's Maha all the way with RFK Jr. Love that one. Here's Steve in KCK. Good morning, Steve.
Hey, Kevin, I was looking at this No Kings Day yesterday, too, and it's all over the country, but here's the line of demarcation. In Kansas, in our nation, there's over 300 million guns right now. And in Kansas, most of them have training, and most of them are not afraid to use them. I mean, I think of that every time you think about honking a horn and road rage or whatever. If I don't care if you're in Prairie Village or not, you put one toe over the line during the No Kings protest, and I guarantee you're gonna get some fire. You know, it's just, this is not.
I mean, maybe you think the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department's gonna crack down on some of it's in KCMO.
No,
I mean, there's certain places.
I'm talking about Kansas City, Mo. I'm talking about my state. I'm talking about Kansas. I'm talking about they are going to. Have you noticed?
Maybe.
Have you noticed all of these protests? All these protests are Chicago, New York.
Well, it just started.
Los Angeles.
It's coming.
No guns.
It's coming here.
You know,
it's coming here. We're going to get it, Steve. I promise. It's coming.
I remember during Black Lives Matter, I went and had dinner. I didn't care. It's Kansas. I went down to downtown Lawrence to see what was going on. You know what I saw? You know what I saw in downtown Lawrence?
Real quick.
I saw a bunch of storekeepers with their guns out, and they live above their store.
Yeah,
They're
that's crazy. If that's
people.
happening in Lawrence, that's pretty wild. We'll see what happens here. Uncanceled continues right after the news. Stay with us. Well, if you ever wondered what it looked like for a talk radio host to have an allergy attack live on the air, tune into our Facebook page right now and watch the live stream. We don't know what happened to me here. I just had this is the time of year if I sneeze once, I sneeze 30 times. And there's not much I can do about it. So we'll see what happens this segment. I'm going to do my very best. But if you've never seen something really awkward looking, maybe give it a look. May have to do a couple little nose wipes, whatever it may be. It's why we live stream, so you can see how the sausage is made, right? But we love what we do. And we've sort of forgotten, but I love some of the things that Ron DeSantis has done in his time as the governor of Florida. And he gave a speech yesterday, and he was talking about how so many people are talking about a property tax problem in America. Real estate values went up all over the country. When that happened, a lot of people in their homes, property taxes went up so significantly, it's become month to month too expensive to stay there. Their payment has gone up, or if they own their house outright, now they're just paying all these property taxes all the time that are really, really high. So we heard President Trump say that he would like to put a law into place where if you're 65 or older and you've paid off your house, there is no property tax on it, which sounds reasonable. If your government's position is you're 65 years old and now you're eligible for Social Security and government benefits and Medicare and things like that. If that's our position, that we have a safety net to help people 65 and older, why would we tax them on the money we give them? And why would you tax them on property that they own outright that they worked their whole life to pay for? These things all make sense. So DeSantis busts out the numbers for Florida, and you would think about all the property in Florida and how much money this is. And DeSantis looking at it a different way. He's not like, okay, we'll lose this much out of the budget. He said what we have in Florida is certain places where we'd need money to backfill revenue for fiscally restrained counties or rural areas that would be about $300 million a year. The property taxes used to pay for this. And he referred to the property taxes that they collect in Florida, or the $300 million that they would need, as budget dust. We can find that anywhere. He said we can just drop property taxes in Florida tomorrow. Now, this is only on Florida personal residence. It's not all personal property, I guess, but just your number one home, your main home, not vacation homes. I don't think you're going to get out of that. If you live in Kansas City, you have a second home in Naples, I think you're going to have to pay property tax on that home in Naples. But if it's where you live and you're a Floridian, this would be easy. Wouldn't it be great if our federal government was run like some of these states? We talked about Kansas yesterday. They just collected 85% more in revenue from income tax in May than they projected. 85%, almost double. They're clearly going to have a big surplus soon in Kansas. Missouri's had the same situation. When Republicans, even with a crazy Democrat governor, they've kept her in check from overspending, and we're running balanced budgets in all these Republican states. And life is better there, and that's why people are moving there. The taxes are lower. They're just run fiscally more responsibly, and life is just generally speaking better. And don't we all aspire to that sort of thing? It's really pretty much what everybody would want out of their federal government. It's what Trump is trying to do. The argument against Trump right now, or the disappointment from some people with Trump, is that there have been not enough budget cuts in the big, beautiful bill. So I just thought it was odd that a state like Florida, imagining what all those, do you know how many like $50 million homes there are in Florida, or between $10 and $50 million? It's crazy. You imagine the property taxes on all those, and he's saying just end it? And maybe they'd set a cap on the thing. Maybe they'd say if your property's worth $3 million or less, you don't pay property tax on it. I don't know. But he said it's budget dust. We could do this pretty much overnight in Florida. Love the sound of that. All right, back to the phones we go. We got Chris in Leavenworth, I believe. Is that right? Hey, good morning. What's going on?
Good morning. We were talking a minute ago about Obama deporting 3 million illegals. One of the things that the Democrats won't bring up to you, and I saw this in an ACLU article, not that I'm a fan of them, but this is a 2014 ACLU article, was that 74% of those that were deported under the expedited deportation process, meaning they did not receive or go before a court hearing in order to be deported. That's something that the Democrats won't say anything about, but yet they complain about Trump trying to do it himself in his presidency.
Absolutely right. And the bottom line is this. The law says that Donald Trump or the federal government has the right to deport anybody that's here illegally. They could just send them home for that. They've not done any of that yet. Will they get there over the course of 4 years? Maybe there will be some of that. But my question is, if they arrested 60 people last night for looting, that sounds like a low number. That means the gotaways must have been 1,000. All right. Most of the looters got away with whatever they stole. But let's say they arrested 60 last night. Here's my question. How many of those 60 were illegal aliens? And if they are they now getting deported? Because immediately, if you just got caught busting into an Apple store and you're an illegal alien and you've been apprehended running out of the place, I don't know what the due process is. I don't know how long we need, but we should have a mechanism in this country where we could deport that person within like 48 hours.
Exactly.
Because you don't need the due process. If they're here illegally, they can be deported just for that.
Exactly.
So I'm with you.
Thank you.
You bet. Good call, buddy. Yeah, Barack Obama was okay on this. He wasn't great, but he did deport 3 million illegal aliens, did send the guard to the border, was concerned about drugs coming in. I don't know how this party changed like they did. And I feel like they just, They went from being progressive or liberal Democrats, just skipped over Bernie Sanders in his socialism and became communists. Now, Bernie Sanders honeymooned in the Soviet Union. So, or maybe it was Russia by then when he did it, post-Soviet Union, but he's always loved the Soviet Union. Well, nobody's ever really called Bernie Sanders a communist, but I'm pretty sure that's what he is. And it's amazing because you know what communism's about? As we talked about with the man on the street yesterday. He said it's great until the people in charge use it to their advantage. That's Bernie Sanders. That dude's gotten rich, really rich, being this guy screaming for socialism because he's called himself a socialist forever. But I think they passed right over socialism. I think they've gone straight to communism, and that's what they're for. And this has been a struggle in this country for a long time. I don't know how many listening went and saw the movie Oppenheimer a couple of years ago when it was out. It was a really long movie. It was a great movie. Historically great. There were some flag-waving, great American moments in there. There was also a lot of deep thought stuff about what we were doing with communism and people we thought were communists at the time. And, was Oppenheimer involved in that? Was he going to do this for nefarious reasons? I don't think we look back upon, McCarthyism or whatever and think of it as our greatest moment. And maybe we took a lot of things too seriously or were too tough on it at that time. But here we are all these decades later, and it's clearly a groundswell. This No Kings organization, these are communists. That's what they want. They want communism. They want the United States Constitution ripped up and shredded. They don't want democracy. They don't want voting. I don't think any of these people know what the leaders that are funding all this and organizing all this stand for. What they stand for is if we can put it in place, we can make a lot of money off of it. The people that make money off organizing things like No Kings or whatever Rise Up is on Saturday, they make money. They get funding from really, really, really rich people with nefarious ideas for the United States, and they get rich themselves. The identical thing that they're railing against, they're doing it for people who are the exact opposite. It's sort of like the stuff they say with Trump. And it's just a vicious cycle. It repeats itself. At the same time, this time, for the first time in quite a while, and I think this has to do with nothing but the way the election turned out, there are Democrats stepping up right now saying this is idiotic and this is a dead loser for us. This is going nowhere. John Fetterman has done that in Pennsylvania. The Democrat senator there has said this is anarchy is what it is. It's not peaceful demonstration. It's anarchy and chaos. Democratic strategist Dan Turrentine has said Democrats have gone crazy. That's his quote, gone crazy, supporting this and stoking it because they're out there saying, go do this. Find a protest in your city. It's peaceful. Get involved. Go do this. Chris Cillizza, who's a former Democrat Dem operative and was on, I think, CNN or something for a while, is now at a different network. And he called what Democrats are doing, attaching themselves to this, as, quote, colossally stupid, unquote. And these are Democrats. They're literally creating ad campaigns for Republicans to run in any swing area anywhere in the country. I live in District 3 in Kansas. I don't know how Sharice Davids became such an entrenched congresswoman in District 3 and how that district has become this blue. They redrew the lines and added rural areas, Paola and some places like that, to try to get more Republican votes, and it didn't work. We have not offered up great candidates. Everybody can recognize that. She is like the most do-nothing congressperson ever. Where does she stand on this? Has she made a comment about Trump? I'm guessing she stays out of it. Now, there's a little part of me that says, you know what? If we had a little unrest in District 3 over the next few years on some of this stuff, some voters might wise up, along with a better economy, lower taxes. There has to be a lot of people in the district that do not want these illegal criminals living amongst us. That has to be the case. So I'm not calling for civil disobedience or something bad to happen in District 3 or Johnson County or Wyandotte County or anything like that. But if it does, if it leaves, and we suspect they're going to Southwest Boulevard tonight, so they're not stopping there. There's going to be something on the plaza. You know the regular drill. We went through this a few years ago with George Floyd. They're going to organize. They're going to be in Kansas City, Missouri first. The question is, do they go to the suburbs? If they do, and they go to places where Democrats made huge inroads, like Prairie Village, Roland Park, Leawood on the Kansas side, if it gets to there, if it moves out to, I don't know, Independence, Lee Summit, Blue Springs, what happens? In the Northland, where we know there are pockets that are pretty red, but overall districts are varied and city councils are varied. What happens when that happens? I don't know. We really haven't seen that. But this sounds like something that is not George Floyd. It's not limited to, or mostly, black people saying, hey, this is wrong. We want to be heard. And some people jumping in support of that. This sounds like every Democrat ticked off at Trump now has a reason to gather. And I'll tell you what my grievance is when I get there. I don't care what your grievance is. I'm going to express my own. Pete played a great clip earlier today from the lady at the NEA, the National Education Association, Pringle. She gave this rambling speech. What the hell does any educators union have to do with this, with ICE in Los Angeles? Randy Weingarten's group is involved. The teachers are all organizing to go to these demonstrations. What on earth do teachers have in common with ICE arresting illegal aliens that have committed felonies? I can't even see the parallel. That tells you what happened with the unions, with the teachers' unions. And he played this great clip, and she couldn't, she's just like, enough, and they're all chanting back at her, enough. And she goes on and on. It's screeching for your ears. You don't want to hear it. But then she just wanders off into Pride Month and LGBTQ. And I'm like, they can't stay focused on what their issue is. You don't get mad at ICE and arresting illegal aliens and rip off the Apple Store. There's no correlation. This is going to spread just from people that don't like Trump. This is just simply going to be Democrat riots. That's what it's going to be. And it's not stopping in L.A. We have 4 summers that Trump's going to be president. 4. What he does this summer is really important because if he stops it, slows it, ends it, arrests enough people, the deterrence here is arrest people, lock them up, shoot them with rubber bullets, watch them laying on the ground in pain, tase their butts, do whatever you got to do when they're throwing rocks at you. You get enough videos like that, people are going to be like, you know what? Maybe that's not for me. Maybe I could stand a couple hundred yards over here and hold my sign, but that's it. And everybody's okay with that. Go walk around and hold your sign. Perfect. Don't loot the Nike store. Don't go to Little Tokyo and steal cash registers. Don't burn Waymo cars, robo-taxis. Don't do any of this stuff. But we've got 4 years to educate America, both sides, that the people that are doing this, you will go to jail or you will get hurt, that this is a dangerous game for you to play. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. The other part, the important part, is the rest of America that's watching, that we can understand what the laws are in this country again. Because the Democrats blur the lines of what's legal and what's not. They're trying to convince you that taking an illegal alien and sending them home is against the law. They're trying to convince you that someone who committed another crime in addition to being an illegal alien and getting sent home is wrong and illegal and immoral. If over the next 4 summers, because I don't think this is going to stop, over the next 4 summers, we can re-educate America what our laws are and show the people on the other side that want to break the law that you're not going to get away with it, man, we can do a great service for this country. It's a reset. It's sending us back 20 years when everybody knew that being an illegal was illegal. It's been going on longer than that. I mean, one of my favorite songs from like the 80s or 90s was Illegal Alien by Genesis. Or Phil, it might have been Phil Collins. I don't know if it's Phil Collins or Genesis. Phil Collins, for sure. Genesis. John Anthony's all over this when it comes to the rock bands. I love it. Illegal Alien's great. If you listen to it today, you're like, really? Okay. It's no fun to be an illegal alien. That's the way it was. Reagan was president. It was no fun to be an illegal alien. We need it to be no fun. We want you to be a legal alien. Get your work visa. Come visit us. Work hard. Pay taxes. Let us know where you live, who you are, and what you're all about. And we accept you. You can work towards citizenship. We're all in. But not this way. Not this way. Mark Van Parlay, we have a favorite team in the College World Series, do we not?
Oh, yeah.
You on them? You believing in them?
I mean, it's hard to pick against them at this point, right?
Murray State. Murray State is in. They beat Duke yesterday. Their little college baseball stadium has 800 seats. They're playing UCLA on Saturday. And their coach's name is Dan Skirka. Let everybody know what Dan Skirka does in addition to managing a College World Series team.
Yeah, he cuts the grass on the side. He cuts the actual field they practice and play on. He cuts their grass.
He's like the head groundskeeper.
Yeah.
Our high school team was like that. We used to go out as a team every day before practice and pick up rocks on the infield and throw them off to the side. Once a week, we'd cut the grass. We didn't do that every day. This guy cuts the grass. I mean, how do you not root for that team? Just fantastic. Just fantastic. College World Series starts on Friday. Oh, remember the taco shell story we did a few weeks ago?
Oh, yeah.
La Tiara taco shells from Gladstone. They had some financial problems, and they disappeared from shelves. We knew they got bought. We now know the company.
Who's that?
General Mills.
Oh, nice.
I think La Tiara taco shells are about to go big time.
Buy the stock now.
Have you had them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're the best.
Yeah, they are. They're so thin and crispy and fall aparty. We love them. Thanks for listening to Uncanceled. The Vince Show is up next.